Welcome to another Blood, Sweat, and Tears concrete video. Today we're going to be starting to install some horseshoe pits.
Good luck, my man. We'll see you.
These are my stepdad Paul's old horseshoe pits. We're going to be tearing them all out today and then starting to put in some new ones. It's going to be kind of cool. We're going to do some stamped concrete. We're going to have a somewhat traditional horseshoe pit setup, but in the middle will be a patio that Mom can enjoy when we're not playing. Alright, well, we got the removal more or less done now. I'm going to take out a few more loads of dirt in the morning, but for the most part we've got it whipped. So Magnus and I are going to call it a night, and after I drop him off at school I'll be back in the morning. What do you think, bud?
Good.
Tired? Kind of humid out here, huh?
Yeah.
You gonna make it?
Yeah.
Alright, we're just about done. Well, I didn't quite make it back this morning. We had a few estimates come in that I had to take care of, and they take precedent over the horseshoe pits over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and set these forms tonight. As you know, Paul was a Purple Heart recipient in the Vietnam War, very active in the VFW, and was a big part of them getting horseshoe pits over there. For his memorial service, we did a horseshoe tournament, and here's some of the highlights. Got a lot of people there together. Just pitched some shoes. Art Young, senior and junior, ended up winning, which was pretty awesome. And you know, Paul loved this stuff. You know, here's some pictures of him on Wednesday night. He used to come over every Wednesday. That's how we met. We'd play for the championship belt. So you can see the old days were kind of fun. But right now I'm going to set up this horseshoe pit. And one thing I'm noticing about this horseshoe pit is that, you know, if you like horseshoes a lot and your wife is like, what the heck is wrong with you? This is going to make a really cool patio, besides being a set of horseshoe pits. And it's going to get used as a patio a lot more than horseshoe pits. But they're there for when you have a get-together and you want to use them or whatever. So there's something to this. I know there is. There's something to it. It's going to be good. So tonight I think we'll try and set this row of forms and then just see what else happens. But we're not going to try and get no big rush. We'll just take it one step at a time. Alright, that's one row down. Alright, there's another row down, and you can see I pounded the stakes down for the most part below the form. The first three got a little high. We'll end up having to pull those out before we stamp. Everything in the front and back here below is stamped right off the edge. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night on this one for now. Tomorrow we'll get over here, we'll try and get these runs set up. Start doing a little bit of grading, but looking good. It's gonna be a nice patio. Telling you, something to this, fellers. Well, as you can see, I've been stretching a lot of strings, pounding a lot of pins, doing a lot of measuring, laying out this court this morning. It's getting warm now. It's time to head for town, but you can kind of see the basic layout here. You've got a 46-foot long court. Stakes are 40 feet apart. And then you've got your fall lines for women, children, and the elderly. And this is a 2-pit court. So we got 1 pit here, 1 pit here. Sorry about that air conditioner and the wind. But it's kind of pretty deluxe for a backyard setup, I would say, for the most part. I used to have 10 pits at my house, but it's been a while ago. The cool part about this one now is going to be the patio. From this stake right over here down to that third stake there, it's going to be a 14 by 16 foot patio. And guys, if your wife's not into pitching shoes, at least you can talk her into the patio and work on talking her into the shoes later. But it's going to be a nice stamped patio right over here in the middle. And I assume that Mom will be using this in the wintertime mainly. We don't have any shade over it. Her patio is all shaded. She freezes in the winter, so she'll be out here in the sun getting warmed up. Now, there's a lot of measurements that I'm not really covering in the video, but at the end of this video, I'm going to go ahead and put a schematic in. Nice little diagram that shows you all the measurements from everywhere to everywhere. You can just pause that, write down anywhere, anything you need out of it, and you should have everything you need to construct some horseshoe pits. Well, we made a little bit of progress on the whole project here. I was hoping to leave as many of the original, pieces of this puzzle in place, the stuff that Paul did, the stakes, the backboards, whatnot. And I think the stakes are close enough. They're not perfect, but we can compensate for that with the follow lines. These backboards, on the other hand, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to pull them out of here and then set them back in a little further back. But nothing big, just kind of holds us up a little bit. But we should make pretty good progress today. Well, unfortunately, we got a lot of termite damage going on. That one ain't gonna make it. That one doesn't have a chance. And they've all got some termite damage, so I may end up just rebuilding them. Well, we're starting to get a little bit of a sprinkle here, but I'm gonna try and get all these forms laid out and get them set.
He brought you a tape measure.
You the new cameraman? Now, I know some of you guys out there in the comments are going to be talking about how it'd be easier just to make a big rectangle and put boxes at each one of the pits, and I agree, it would be. I've seen pro facilities like that where it's basically just a big 46 by 16 foot concrete pad with a hole for each box, and that works really well. It maybe more cost effective even. But what I like about this is just the look and feel of it. You know, when it's all said and done, it's gonna look like a set of horseshoe pits. And for me, that means something. But if you just want to slam it out, jam it out, and get it done cheap, or a big rectangle with 4 3-foot by 6-foot boxes blocked out, it's gonna be the way to go.
Well, I think Dad put his form in backwards.
Yeah, he did.
Where is it?
He went to go get some more forms.
Hopefully you don't put those ones in backwards. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You guys have been doing great with the comments, and I really do appreciate that. I try to get back to every single one of you. Once in a while it slips through, but for the most part I've been trying to get back to everybody that leaves a comment. So if you haven't done so, head down there right now and drop a comment. Well, it looks like Carly must have been playing pranks on me. I went to get some more forms and now she's got this one set backwards. That prankster. Alright, over the last couple mornings and evenings I've gotten the last of the forms set. Magnus and I got the last of the excavation done last night. And we're ready to head for Pioneer Landscape Materials and get some gravel, or AB as we call it here, and get everything graded. So let's head on to Pioneer. All right, we're here at the material handling place, Pioneer Gravel, Pioneer Sand. And when you get here, you go over the scale, weigh, and then you hand them your load ticket. We're gonna get 3 tons of AB right now, as soon as he comes on over here. See that, buddy? There's a car going across.
Alright, we're gonna go get weighed.
Well, we got our gravel. We're just about back to the site, but we've just remembered that Decocrete's got that big deal this Saturday. So we're not going to be able to start on the horseshoe pits just yet. We'll have to pick that up later this evening. Good morning, Labor Day weekend. We're just getting this thing moving. Magnus is on the fine grader, the tiniest one I ever built. And I'm gonna jump in the tractor. We're gonna get this thing fine graded today and be ready for rebar. So I'll put up the time lapse and we'll get it going. There ain't no rush here today, bud. We're having fun. You know, we have really good subscribers, really good viewers. Hardly anybody ever leaves a negative comment at all. One thing I have noticed, though, is people that aren't being mean, but they're trying to give advice, you know? And I'm sure somebody will have some advice on how we should just be using a come along to do this. The problem is that This is only an 18-inch wide area here, and the come along is too wide. So it's actually easier just to use this board. The reason I believe that our channel's gonna blow up is because we work very hard on it. And you can't work that hard on something without getting a reward eventually. That concludes the fine grading portion of this project. It's looking pretty good. Got everything graded out. We're gonna go ahead and wet it down now, and then we'll come back a little bit later and tap it. What do you think, buddy? Looks pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Loving it. You did good today. You did really, really good. Make sure you get your kids out. Make sure you teach them how to work. It's important. The next generation. And they say that inactivity is just as dangerous as smoking. Magnus and I just went and got some gator bar for Grandma's patio / horseshoe pet. And I think we'll be installing that in the morning. Today we're doing some on-site estimate confirmations. Magnus already had his student-teacher conference. He's been doing really good. No problems whatsoever. And they were getting out of school today at 11, so he asked his teacher if they were having any tests. She said no, and he said, well, I'm just not going to come to school tomorrow then. Magnus and I are back at Grandma's house. We didn't get the rebar in yesterday because we had firearm safety training for Magnus. Here he was on the range.
Okay, so once you're done. We got one more shooting position.
It was a pretty good time. So we're just kind of getting everything prepped for the rebar right now and knocking the edges down. Magnus is gonna knock the little edge down. Hit it kind of like this, buddy. Knocking the edge down like that was always a really big deal to my dad. Before we'd pour or put rebar in, he always had to knock the edges down so you could see the entire form. You didn't want it to appear you only had 3 inches of concrete if you had a 4-inch form. You want to make sure you could see the whole form. So that's what we're doing right now. We're just knocking all the edges down quick. Then we're gonna mark it out for rebar and put the rebar in. It's getting hot already though. Nice job, bud. You may be wondering why I'm digging this edge so deep. And the reason is we're going to be using a Nomoflex expansion along here. 6 inches tall. So I can bank a little bit of dirt up against it and keep it in a nice straight line across all these transition points here. Well, the one thing about Arizona that kind of sucks is it gets really hot. So
I have sweat in my eye.
yeah, we got a little sweat in our eyes. It was our own fault. We didn't get out here early enough this morning. It's Sunday. We're kind of lounging. I was working on videos, but he was on his phone, so it's our own fault. But we got everything marked out and ready to put some rebar in now. So we're gonna go ahead and get out of here for a while. Come back this evening when it cools down.
Yeah.
Game plan?
If you wear a hat like that.
Only about 89 degrees right now. We're in the shade and it is beautiful. So Magnus is on his way over with the skid loader. I'm gonna start laying out this rebar. We're gonna get it put in. All right, hold up. Magnus and I ran out of daylight last night, so we came by this morning before school to tie the last of the rebar. I'm going to show you a quick little trick here. When you're setting steel forms, a lot of times they'll settle on you over time. You can build a pile underneath them and it washes out if it rains or just settles out with time. So here's a quick little tip on how to set these steel forms will stay where they need to be. What you do is you break up a piece of brick. So you can see like this one has kind of gone down a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and lift it. Put that brick underneath there. Nice and solid. It's got something to sit on. And that's not gonna drop again. Well, with that, we should be pretty much ready to go for tomorrow. I'm gonna have Orville stop by here tonight. We're gonna look everything over one more time, get the stamps loaded up, and just be ready to go. So we'll see you at the pour. I'm not gonna lie, Gator Bar is awesome, but you get lots of fiberglass stickers in your fingers. I'm not gonna lie, I love driving, but traffic sucks. See, there's certain ways you should use the term "I'm not gonna lie." Because when you use it just for everyday common things, you know, like, I'm not gonna lie, I really like this product. Something like that, you know, it infers that maybe you usually lie or something, I don't know. To me, it just sounds really weird when people use that, and people use it all over the place now. I'm not gonna lie. This is some really good chutney. But it just doesn't quite work, you know? It's like you're implying that you normally lie, and this time, you're not gonna lie. So, I don't know, hopefully that whole craze ends pretty soon, but it drives me nuts. Let me know in the comments if it drives you nuts. Well, we are on site this morning, ready to pour. All the guys are here. We've got Orville, Martin, Adrian, Mike, myself. Adrian worked with us years ago, on and off. He's been in and out of some trouble, and he's been doing really good now for over a year. So he's back on the crew, and we love seeing that. Wow, he's finally here. Old Uncle Remus on site. Does that tire look low?
Yeah.
Magnus, we need the little air compressor out of the trailer. We're gonna need the little air compressor out of the trailer. Let's go, baby! Time to move the truck. Rest in peace, Paul. You will be dearly missed. Alright, sorry for the noise. We just put 3 Fritz packs in the truck. These are mini delays. So we pour halfway, put 3 in, it retards the concrete. So when we're stamping, we'll stamp all the way through with an even stamp texture and not run into where it gets really hard at the end. In theory. Now this mud looks pretty dang wet, but this is actually a flowable mix. So this can be poured up to an 8-inch slump and still have the integrity of concrete poured at 4. The mud is down. It was kind of a workout with all that wheelbarrowing and all this lumpy ground, but we got it down. And it's gonna be a while. Sun will come up, get on this whole thing real quick, and then we'll be after it. Still a little bit wet for doing joints right now, but Martin and Adrian are.
Johnny?
Yeah, we'll do a center. You can see they're snapping the joints right now. Nice and flat, huh? All right, so Magnesite just marked out the follow line. Once Adrian and Martin and Orville got all these lines straight here, along there, they had to straighten that felt. I was able to measure off here, so we got 3 foot from the felt, 10 foot from the felt, and 13 foot from the felt. That's going to give you your follow lines for everything you need to know. And 1 extra, actually. When you put your joints in, you have to make sure you've got a deep enough bit on your jointer, or you've got to make sure and chop them. And even though Martin's is real close to deep enough, I'm going ahead and chopping these because they've got a crack here. Easy peasy. We're working in the White Ghetto. It's my neighborhood.
How are we gonna be able to get this out of there if we need to? What? Customers wouldn't want that.
Well, that's what we need to do on a video so that they can see what. We got plenty of depth here. It's probably 6 inches deep in the back, 4 inches deep in the front. I'm just gonna give it an organic shape. And stamp texture. The last thing you want to do is wait till the last minute to get all your stamping equipment out. It rained last night, so there's water between all the stamps, and it's going to need some time to dry. And we probably got just about enough. Gonna get all this ready, get your release mixed, get your stamps all ready to go, and be able to pounce on that slab.
Pump it. Come on, muscles.
Well, I just checked the concrete right here, and it's firm enough to start stamping, and we can't put the tamper to it, but we can start just stamping it in by hand. We got the first 3 walk paths stamped on this end. A little wet right here, we're gonna hold off for a minute. It's actually a little wet where I was stamping. Just want to get ahead of things so that we make sure we're not unable to stamp at the end. Well, it is all stamped. Magnus and Norval are just kind of checking all the edges over. There's gonna be a little touch up to do on some joints, but it's not bad. It looks really, really good. Really happy with how it's turned out so far. A couple weeks, put some sealer on and it'll really pop. All right, it's the weekend and Magnus and I are out here on the court getting ready to do some staining. We're gonna stain these walk paths a little darker color so they stand out. We've been doing samples so that Mom could see the different color variations, and we're gonna go with a kind of a diluted cola. So we're gonna get after it. I'll put you on time lapse and we'll get it done. Alright, so as you can see, we put up a shield. I actually put down a layer of tape there, and then we did a shield. And just kind of an extra layer of protection. But you can see, I mean, this stuff soaks right in. It may need another coat. See where it's getting a little light right through here? It looks pretty cool. And once you put the sealer on, you know, we still gotta wash this off, neutralize it. Rinse all the excess off, but once you put the sealer on, this stuff really pops. Looking good.
ASMR. Yeah. Hey, you're at a house.
Make sure when you lift up the cardboard, you lift it in over the top of the where you're going to be staining so it doesn't drip on your pad, and then you're real careful to bring it back and set it just right where you need it. There's nothing dripped on here yet. Fingers crossed we won't get anything. Well, as you can see, the stain is all down. We're going to go ahead and let this burn in for 8 hours, and when we come back it's going to be a lot lighter looking, which works really well. Then we'll do a pressure wash on the whole thing, let it dry one more time, and then seal everything. But I like to put that stain down, one heavy coat, and then come back in and just do touch-ups wherever it's come in light. But I'm trying to make real organic looking touch-ups. This product really doesn't mesh well with my mind. My mind's too perfection oriented, and this is a very imperfect surface. So you kind of got to be your thing. I have a hard time with it, but every customer I've ever done it for has loved it. And all in all, I think it looks all right. Fill it right up, buddy. All right, so this morning, Magnus and I are going to neutralize the acid staining. We've got some Arm & Hammer. We're going to mix it up with some water, and we're going to apply it with a brush to make sure all the acid is neutralized and we don't have any reaction happening underneath the sealer. As far as dosage goes, this stuff's been sitting in the garage for a long time, but I'd say about that much. That should work. Actually, that's probably more than enough. Alright, go fill it up with water, buddy. Now, as you can see, this acid is really dark today, and if it works like it has in the past, it's going to lighten up quite a bit after we neutralize it and then pressure wash everything. So see how it turns out. These two sprayers were sitting on my shelf in my garage for 7 years with the acid in them. I took them down, brought them over, filled them up, and used it to spray this patio, to stain this patio. So I don't know. So this is just one method. What I like about this method is that there's a little excess stain here and there. Whenever you do staining, it gets dark, and that brush is going to take it right off of there, loosen it right up. Now we're going to be pressure washing as well, but really the brush is taking loose all the extra stain. And a lot of times we can use a swing machine or something like that, but it seems to be working pretty dang well. Now you can use a pump up sprayer, spray it on, it'll neutralize it, but the brush is actually going to take off the excess. So the baking soda and water works just fine. It neutralizes the concrete very well. It will leave a little residue and a crack here and there once in a while, so it's best to pressure wash everything after you've neutralized. That's what we're going to do today. I actually prefer using ammonia to neutralize. It's clear, does the same job, and a little less messy. You're not going to have to worry about any residue anywhere. But this works just fine. We're going to go ahead and pressure wash now. Now we're going to be using a 2700 PSI pressure washer, which is just adequate enough, nothing extra. I'll be recommending the 3000. First thing you do, hook up the water, bleed all the air out of the lines. You don't want any air coming through your pump. It'll shorten the life of your pump. I'm trying to target this channel toward young contractors, guys that are just starting, guys that need advice. So I know most of you guys that are probably watching out there don't need the advice. You already know all this stuff. I may be oversimplifying things, but that's for that crowd. If you've never washed concrete before, if you're not experienced, use a green tip. They sell these rotating zip tips, and they work fast, they work good. We use them for exposed aggregate all the time, and I can use them here because I've used them enough. I know the distance and all that sort of thing. But you definitely wouldn't want to use one of these on your first time. You stick to the standard green. All neutralized and pressure washed and blow dried and ready to go. So we're gonna let it get completely dry before we put any sealer on. You don't want to trap any moisture underneath the sealer. So I usually like to wait at least overnight on a hot day like today. I might be able to do it this evening. We'll see what happens. Carly and I are here to seal the horseshoe pits. And there's going to be some spots when you come back that are going to have some bird droppings. You know, you can take a damp rag and just kind of wipe them off. If you get some berry droppings, you're better off just basically flicking them off with your finger and not using a damp rag because they'll smear all over the place. So just pick off what you can, and remember, this thing will be covered with bird drops in a week anyways. So don't get crazy about it. Wipe off what you can, leave what you can't. I'm going to put the sealer in the can now, and Carly's going to get a few shots, and I'll explain the process of rolling this product. Once again, we're going to be using D1 from Decocrete. Love this product. Pour it upside down. You get a full can, tip the jug over, pour from the top. This isn't really a full can, but you should have just enough to do this. Alright, you're gonna need an extreme duty sprayer. Anything less, this solvent based sealer is gonna eat the seals right out of it. You're gonna have a very bad day. You're gonna spend somewhere around $300 for this bad boy. It's not cheap, but it's the only thing you got. There's different brands. We're using a Chapin, or make sure, yeah, we're using a Chapin today. There's a few different brands. You just gotta make sure you get the extreme seals. No good. Can't spray like this. You need to have some xylene on hand when you do this. This is what you're going to clean the sprayer with afterwards. And even though that one got cleaned last time, I'm going to have to clean that tip by itself. So my assistant Carly is going to take a soup can, put a little in there, drop the tip right in that can. Clean it up. This should melt that sealer right off. Hopefully I've got it cleaned out well enough now. We're going to put you in time lapse and we'll see if it works a little better. Alright, so we're spraying much better now. It's not perfect, but it's much better. And you can see Carly is just rolling the puddles out. So go faster, Carly. Just one way and then move over and move the other way. There you go. She's not trying to, you know, lift up the whole surface just where it's a little thicker. She wants to roll it out. And in my experience, I don't really know you'd even need to roll the first coat at all. We're going to do a little test on that today, I think. And we're going to see if that's true. Here you go, Carly. Just hold the camera for me, will you? You can see how quickly that soaks in. And I don't want to step on anybody's toes at Decocrete, but it just seems like the first coat you would not need to roll in. This sucks it up fast. Nice work, Pookie. Good job. Well, there it is, folks. A done deal. Nice satin finish. I love this sealer. You can see that first coat just soaked right in. It's a penetrating sealer. It's going to actually protect that concrete from the inside. Really good stuff. Good job, Decocrete. So there it is. All done. Ready for backboards. We're going to put some rock in front of the fall boards. Put some new sand in around the pins. We'll be playing a lot of horseshoes on this thing. So be sure to get out there and play some horseshoes yourself. And once you get done with that, like, subscribe, especially share with all your friends. That's near and dear to my heart. And then, you know, watch another video. All right, we'll see you on the next one. And here's that diagram I promised you. It's from the good people at sportsknowhow.com. Check them out. Enjoy the game, folks. It's a good one.